You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. Please give us a like, share, subscribe to the YouTube account. We are on www.dadswholifofficial.com. All the podcast links are in there. We also have an apparel line. We're on IG as Dads Who Lift Official handle. We're on Facebook, Dads Who Lift Podcast. We also have a Dads Who Lift fitness group on Facebook that's Dads Who Lift Official. A group of 30,000 like-minded dads that are just trying to be their best selves and staying fit. If that's something you're into, please check it out. But we do this stuff for free, guys, so please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We really appreciate your support. All right, let's start this motherfucker. You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. Hey, your host, Tyler Gaeta.
Co-host Joel Staley.
And we have on special guest, which I'm super fucking excited about this one, Tim Rexius. Rexius Nutrition, VHI Health, Iron Heaven Gyms, 10 other fucking companies.
Yeah, pretty much nailed it. Yeah.
So, what I wanted to get on, all right, so we shoot in Rexius' studio. So thank you, Tim. We shoot in Tim's studio, and he's here a lot of mornings before we shoot our podcast. We shoot podcasts every morning, every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. And so we're always bullshitting about what's going on in the world and all the stuff that's going on, but we never put it on camera. And Tim's probably regretting this right now, but earlier in the week, I was like, all right, Tim, come on. We got to fucking get this shit on camera. Like, all the shit that's going on right now, we're going into another lockdown. We're going into more stores are shutting down. Like, this shit is insane. The death of the middle class is happening as we speak. The biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the United States is happening as we speak. There's just so much shit going on. And if people don't stand up and say something about it and do something about it, there's not going to be any more small business left. Like, it's just a fucking fact. It's happening in front of us, and people either don't give a fuck or they're not looking at it, you know? And so we're going to come out here and we're going to do this podcast. And I found some information. I was digging last night until like 10 o'clock. You can't, there's no statistic yet because businesses are still shutting down.
Yep.
As far as how many businesses have actually closed from the coronavirus. But there was a document that I found, and this is from Yelp. This is an actual study from Yelp. So these are businesses that are listed on Yelp so far since the pandemic has started. Actually, this is just April 2020 to September. Mm-hmm. So April 2020 to September 2020, there was a reported 163,735 small businesses that have closed on Yelp. So from April to September, 163,000 small businesses have fucking closed on Yelp. Now, another one that I pulled up, which people, you know, some people know this shit and some people don't, but this redistribution of wealth, the same time frame, that same exact time frame, April to September of 2020, Jeff Bezos' wealth has increased by $73.2 billion. Mm-hmm. Bill Gates' wealth has increased by $18.3 billion. Zuckerberg's wealth has increased by $45.9 billion. Elon Musk, $67.4 billion. Warren Buffett, $15.7 billion. Google guys, $18.3 billion. Walmart, there's a bunch of different Walmart guys, but you know, basically $30 million between the Walmart, or $30 billion between the Walmart guys. So basically, the elite has increased their wealth by a total collective of $800 billion since the coronavirus has happened, since this pandemic has happened, and hundreds of thousands of small businesses have closed.
Well, I say if you go through the NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business Owners, along with the SBA, by the end of August, beginning of September, I suppose this way. So small business employs 48% of the employment in this entire country. 48%. We're talking almost half. By the end of August, 21% of all United States small businesses had already closed permanently. The remaining 79% had a drop of income of over 30%. Now, here's the thing. Most of the lockdowns in a lot of states actually happen more starting in September, so significantly worse. So the representation of the unemployment number at the federal level is complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah, it's fucked.
They're not factoring in any small business is closing whatsoever, and they haven't updated it for that very specific purpose because they don't want to cause the market to drop because you're not sitting at 7% unemployment, kids. We're at 15, minimally. And the simple fact is that if you have that high of an unemployment rate, coming through small business and that many have closed, there's no way the unemployment rate could drop that much. It's just not mathematically impossible. Now, if you listen to a lot of these guys, and I listen to a lot of them, if you listen to Elon Musk, if you listen to the CEO of Walmart, yeah, they're all happy about having the most profitable year on record. They're scared shitless of next year.
Oh, yeah.
Because without a middle income to spend money on their products, it'll be the biggest loss they've ever had. There's only a few companies that really benefit and they're completely online platforms. Amazon.
Yep.
Social media
Amazon's
giants.
probably the biggest one.
Yeah, and they'll benefit the most. And so and they always say this, it's amazing how people just trust some of these massive moguls and the things they say without thinking that they don't have an ulterior motive. Well, of course they're going to support lockdowns and shutdowns and shit. They make more money. And they also can afford to not have to do anything. Like they have the infrastructure. Let's say the market economy changes. Let's say we change our entire social structure.
Yep.
They have the money to invest into different things. So somebody else had brought up like, okay,
they're going to be able to diversify.
They were. McDonald's was able to create robotic check-in stations so they actually get rid of employees. Well, they can afford to do that while they pay a higher minimum wage in case that were to happen, right? They can afford that hurt to come up with the technology to counteract that cost effect. You know who can't? Every fucking mom and pop business from here to Timbuktu does not have the money to devote to an entire online platform. Like, and I'm not down. I'm not, how do I say, in a negative impact against Jeff Bezos from Amazon. It's impressive as fuck. I'm very impressed. You have a platform and you have an app that is uncompetitive with.
Be nice if you paid some taxes on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
I'll get to the tax part, but we can't compete. Well, you have more shit online. It doesn't matter. When you have got an almost cult-like following, and now you've got to the point now where people don't understand all the back-end stuff that Amazon has done hooking up with American Express and different cards. Even Apple. If you don't think these guys don't know more shit than we do, look at the Apple Card. Just look at it. The biggest problem we have in the United States is that 95% of the population has less than a third grade education on how finance and economics actually work. And I'm talking to most of you people why you're probably listening to this and my podcast. You don't have a fucking clue. You think you do because you've been told what you've been told, but you don't understand it, not even remotely. And people started bitching about the tax increases. Holy shit. They forget the whole purpose. Yeah, okay, raising corporation taxes from 21 to 28%. Everybody's freaking out about Biden saying it. Shut the fuck up. We were at 35. It's still not even close. But you didn't even look at the next line down. With small business goes from 29 to 39. Big problem. Here's the other problem. Why the fuck is small business already paying 8% more than corporations like fucking Amazon? Do you realize there's only 4 classifications of corporations in this country? I am taxed on the same level or worse than Amazon, Microsoft, Berkshire, because there's only 4 classifications. So every time you try to punish the rich, you punish every small fucking business, every plumber, every electrician, every cab driver, because we're all in the same. There's only 4. If you don't like how people don't pay taxes, redesign the fucking tax code. It's real simple. You don't like it? Don't elect the same assholes every year who do the same shit who are bought and paid for.
Vote these fuckers out.
Vote them all fucking out.
100%.
And the thing is, here's how you do it. And people don't understand. They'll never vote themselves out of office. They don't get to. Read the fucking Constitution. Real simple. If 70% of the governors demand term limits for senators, it is automatically becomes an amendment. Constitution of states. That's how it gets done. So quit focusing on watching CNN or MSNBC or fucking Fox News bitching about the senators. Call your goddamn state office and tell your governor you're going to whoop his ass if he doesn't fucking do something. Vote his ass out. I'm telling you, if you go down the line and they all start losing their jobs, shit gets done.
It starts from the bottom up.
It absolutely does.
And the difference that people don't realize about what you said about tax rate is 100% true. But what people don't realize also about these big corporations is that they hide their fucking income. Like they have offshore accounts in different companies.
Oh, it's even that like
in different countries.
Yeah.
So even though they have a tax rate that's basically the same tax rate that you're paying, which is bullshit in the first place, Amazon will do something like basically they'll start another company that'll hold all of their
Amazon,
data. It'll hold all their data that's in another company. And
intellectual property rights.
Yes. So basically what they'll do is they'll say, so they had all this income in the United States, right? Well, they'll say, okay, well, we're going to pay this company, which this company is the one that actually made the money. So we're going to pay this company as a subcontractor, but they own this company in this other country. We'll pay this company all of our profits.
What's it? So
then they don't have to pay taxes in that other fucking country. They're not paying taxes in the United States.
It's a DBA of intellectual property. So if Amazon makes $500 billion, the fee for using their logo by the holding company happens to be $500 billion.
Exactly.
Net zero. There's other things in that tax.
Exactly.
So now, I'm not saying these are negatives. Section 179s, which is what Amazon uses a lot of, where you basically get to write off 100% of that certain investment in certain categories. 100% right off. So, well, I can give the government $1 million, or I can go buy this for $1 million. And so they use it to their advantage. But when you get to a certain size of that magnitude, there has to be limitations to that. And the thing that our tax code is so fucking complicated. It is absolutely ridiculously the most complicated thing on the planet. And I don't fault these guys for taking advantage of the tax code. I fault the asshole politicians who placate on this every 4 or 2 years, like assholes who know exactly how to fix it, who just tell you what they want. They're pandering for votes. We're going to make them pay. Bullshit, asshole. You've been taking money from these pricks for 30 years and you haven't done shit. You've never proposed a single bill that's absolutely remotely plausible of ever getting financed or passed through the Congress. You're full of shit. And every politician does it. I've worked in Washington off and on for 7 years. I can tell you right now, I don't pick a side because they're all assholes.
I got a question.
Yes.
So you said we're about to go into another lockdown. I know there's lockdowns all over right now.
There's lockdowns happening right now, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the CDC has come out and said lockdowns are not the answer. Does more harm than good. The WHO said the same thing. So why do you think we're going into more lockdowns if the harm outweighs the benefit?
Because there's about 6 companies in this country that run the entire country that have the mass majority who can actually impact a recession literally by the snap of their fingers.
And they're paying the politicians.
And they don't have to do shit to the politicians. If Warren Buffett says we're taking 10%, hello recession. People don't understand how it works. In 2009, after Obama was elected, and Buffett's like, the economy's fine, we're going to stabilize this bastard. He put $5 billion in the market in 1 hour. Boom, stop loss. These guys have so much power. It's ridiculous. Now, jealous as hell. Warren Buffett's, he's Nebraska boy. He's here. He's local. His house is like 20 minutes from here. They don't have they want control. The simple fact is the amount of money that actually controls what these guys do. And it's a narrative. And also these same assholes own the media companies. It's really simple. I've always said this 100 times. And people think like we're fighting the resistance. Listen, if the media companies and the billionaires and trillionaires are on your side, you're not the resistance, my friend. You're the puppet.
Exactly.
Can you think of another way?
Exactly. 100%.
Can you think of another way?
Again.
Can you think of another way than to keep people indentured in the slavery than making them fight for you and telling them they're fighting against the man?
Exactly.
That's exactly what most of these people are doing.
Make them dependent.
How do you make people give their rights away?
And this is literally what we're doing for safety. And the reason, if you watch, and I've read all 147 pages of Moderna's application to the FDA in RDNA vaccines, it's great science. Don't get me wrong, but the simple fact is the reason we can get 95% efficacy rates, whether it's an RDNA vaccine or not, which shouldn't even call the vaccine because it's not, it's because it's really easy to fucking kill. Like I don't think you guys understand. Like it's not people related to flu. It's not. They're both fruit, but it's watermelons and oranges. Like they're really different. It's really easy to fucking kill, which is why we have such a high immune rate on it. People are scared. I get that. Totally understand.
Why are people scared though?
Because here's the funny thing. So, and I'm not saying
people are scared because the media tells them to be scared.
It is. Well, I agree. And it was funny. I sat there and I had to sit there with a family member who's like, I'm just finally getting my sense of taste and smell back. I go, you mean the same side effect to every common cold? She goes, no. I go, oh yeah. COVID's another name for common cold. People keep relating it to the flu. They're not the same family of germs and viruses. It's this first side effect listed to every common cold is loss of taste, a sense of taste and smell. But because you read it on TV and you're legitimately scared, I'm not saying your fear isn't real by any means. I have an immune deficiency. So I'm more likely to catch it than anybody. I guarantee in this room, I have the lowest immune system of any of you by a long shot. But I also understand that any day I walk out of my house, I can get hit by a fucking bus.
Exactly.
I can get killed by any.
Preach.
That is literally the risk I take every day when I leave the house. And I'm okay with the risk. I'm intelligent enough to make that decision for myself. And if you want to stay home, there has never been a time greater in American history, world history, that you don't have to leave your motherfucking house. Everything is getting delivered for free, including like we ship for free, we deliver for free, every grocery store. You don't have to leave your home. Why the fuck do you care if I do? And that's this thing. And you know what? I wear the mask. I don't want to wear it. I'll wear it. People come in my store. Because the fact is, if it makes you feel safer and you're putting money on the food, help put money in my shop, puts food on the table for my kids, I'll wear the damn thing.
Do you think they do anything?
No, absolutely not.
Not
even
fucking
close.
thing.
I mean, so
I won't wear it.
The 1908 pandemic, the Spanish flu, over 50% of the people died from the bacterial pneumonia from wearing masks, not from the Spanish flu. Even that moron asshole Fauci even agreed to that like 3 years ago in a father document that he had actually co-sponsored. And so people just don't understand science. And we are seeing side effects already.
What was the death rate of the Spanish flu?
I don't remember.
It was way more. I want to look it up. I want to say it was like 1 in 30 people or something.
What are the side effects you're talking about from wearing a mask people are experiencing?
Oxygen deprivation. It depends on the person. Like for me, it's very unhealthy for me, depending on what your cholesterol or natural oxygen content. If you have thyroid issues, there's a list of issues that can happen from just oxygen deprivation. Gyms making people wear masks inside gym. Now, if you want to wear it, and people wear it in my gym all the time, good for you. That's fine. It's not safe to wear it when you train weights.
2% was the death rate of the Spanish flu
versus
0.003 actually.
Well, I see, like we have Minnesota,
0.003.
and I'll on my heart, and like I'm not against anyone else. Somebody else is gonna have some random science they copied and pasted from somebody else, some bullshit they didn't understand. They'll post on this, and that's fine. I'm used to people being absolute morons on social media.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says anymore. I
see the state of Minnesota shut down gyms, and I have a store up there, and he's connected to a gym. I see in Arizona they've been open since March, and so we participate in a gym study put on by National Research of Health. 2,800 gyms participated from April 1st all the way through the end of October. The gym infection rate for COVID in national gyms in the United States have been open the whole time is 0.0002935%, with absolutely an incalculable rate of transmission, which means that a few people who got it just happened to randomly get tested because their job made them get tested or whatever, but it didn't transmit to anyone in any of those gyms. And so why the fuck are the states shutting down gyms? It's a fear-mongering bullshit of control. It is, and will be. If you have the data in front of your face proving that it doesn't do anything and you shut it down anyways, now A, you're an asshole, and B, somebody else is telling you what to say. And I know the media. They are being told, and this is it, they shop in my stores. They're being told what to say by their affiliates. They told me this verbatim. This is what we're supposed to say. This is the line. And I get they have a boss. They want to get a check. They don't want to get fired. I don't blame the anchor. I blame the asshole who owns the fucking media company. And so that's our biggest issue. And why are you shutting down gyms? If you literally have data in front of your face, why have this harm to small business? Because the biggest threat
why are we not
government.
Focusing on being healthy?
Well, we're not
which
focusing
is
on being
part
healthy.
of the fucking gym. We're focusing on throw a fucking mask on your face.
Like, okay, and
stay and socially distance. Stay away from everybody. Stay 6 feet apart. Put a fucking mask on your face. Why not? Hey, fat fucks, get in the gym. Eat healthy. Like live a healthy lifestyle. Get outside. Breathe some fresh air.
Like, and I get it. Like, listen, like I got a couple of my buddies, big boys. You know, they ate and they drank, they do what they want. I get it. So you're probably more susceptible, and if you catch it, it's going to cause you a lot more harm than it's going to cost me. I get that. So you should stay home.
Then you stay home. I don't need to stay home.
And I don't judge you for it. I don't judge you one bit. If you want to mask up, glove up, and wear a whole goddamn hazmat suit, you do you, boo boo. I got people who have like 19 door locks in their front door. I think it's fucking weird, but you know, if that's what you got to do,
whatever makes you
I got buddies of mine who sleep with a gun under their pillow. They are that freaked out. Good for you too.
I do sleep with a gun next to my bed.
I don't care, but you know what I'm saying? I don't give a shit. That's totally fine. You do you. I don't give a fuck.
How do you get rid of toxins in your body?
There's a lot of ways to get rid of toxins in your body.
Breathe them out, typically.
Typically, you need oxygen. Oxygen causes your body to induce healing in reaction with blood.
So if you have a cover over your mouth from 2 of the 3 orifices that you get rid of your toxins through, and you're breathing that shit in all day. Mm-hmm. My dad wears a mask. He's one of those guys right now because he had a buddy die recently that was like way overweight, diabetic, got on a ventilator, ended up passing away. So now all of a sudden, since then, he's super like hypochondriac about it. So he's the guy you see like driving his post office truck and he's got his little mask on. He comes over to family dinners. He's got his mask on, but like he'll put it down over his chin. He'll go out and smoke 2 cigarettes, put it back up and come back in. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, and that's just it. And people are equating wearing masks to wearing seatbelts, and it's such a stupid equation. It's just people. It's a method of control. Now why
it is a method of control?
And
that's it.
It absolutely is. Now, and listen, if you show me any data that it actually helped anything,
there's data against it.
That shutting it down and that wearing masks that is not influenced by a company paying for that, but actually show me, and you show me that this is really going to help. And in my background in biomechanical engineering, I can tell you right now, we had to deal with viruses. We wore hazmat suits with separate oxygen supply. We did not use a cloth paper mask. They'd have been like, what the fuck? It would laugh me out of my master's degree study in chemistry.
Yep.
If I'd even said this.
You had a bandana over your mouth?
They would have laughed me out of the fucking room. But whatever. Like I said, I'll put whatever you got to do. It is what it is. Like I told my wife, I'm like, listen, I got to go to Menards to pick up some fucking plumbing supplies. I got to put the fucking thing on. Like she wants to fight the system. Go ahead. I don't really give a shit. But the thing is that I walked in with the Stormtrooper helmet, You bet your ass I did. If you're going to make me look like an ass, I'm going to look like a cool one. I walked in. It has a special audio thing on it. I'm like, they all laughed. I got high fives from the guys who worked there. I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to make fun of your shit. And it's, and the thing is, why would they want to shut down small businesses? The biggest
dude,
threat,
I got a theory.
The biggest threat to an authoritarian control are independently minded people who have their own money.
You just said it right there, authoritarian control.
Yep.
They're going after socialism. This is my take. I think that people want to put socialism into the United States.
Never happened.
That's what I think is going for. How do you get socialism? You kill the middle class. How do you control people? You kill the middle class.
Well, they can try it all.
You have a low class and a high class. That's it. You get rid of the middle class. You get rid of small business. You have a low class and a high class. You have the elite and the poor.
And the people dependent on the elite.
Yeah, exactly. And the people that are the poor, they are the ones that the government, they'll accept the handouts.
And here's the fact.
Hey, it's okay. We're the government. We'll save you. Here's your fucking
the number one
here's
reason,
your money.
The number one reason we're never going to have a socialist government is literally because we are the Second Amendment. The fact that we are able to maintain and control gun ownership.
But it's happening right now.
Well, sure, they can try.
If people don't fucking come out and say, fuck you, we're opening our businesses, regardless of whether you tell me I can open my business or not. And people don't go out and start supporting those businesses and shop at those fucking businesses. It's already happening. People are bending over right now and taking it for the safety of Corona.
I feel like they're one huge false flag away from being able to have a gun buyback and have people, a lot of people, not everybody, like guys like us three probably aren't going to buy in, but a lot of people will say, oh, you're right. These guns are dangerous. Here, take them, get a buyback. There are people that'll do it. 100%.
Well, and it's the thing with it. A lot of it is that, I mean, I'm letting the sheep think what the sheep want. If you're going to act like a sheep, you don't deserve to be a fucking lion. It's the same way I have my attitude with my kids. I bitch, and you've heard me bitch before this thing started. I got no employees I could possibly promote right now. Not one. So I'm working 3 jobs for my companies right now because I have no one willing to step up, man up, woman up, whatever, and take the fucking bull by the horns and go. We're talking money. So I'm working 2 jobs back to back simultaneously right now because I have no one. Last Monday, we had 5 call-ins because people thought they had COVID. None of them did, by the way. They just watched a lot of CNN that day. Yep. Or just didn't want to. And I had to cover. My wife had to cover. My daughter had to cover. I had to pull a former employee from 3 years ago out of retirement to cover a store. I had to pay another guy $50 extras to come and work a shift and had one manager work open to close. I had 38 fucking employees. Can't get one to pick anything up. People are like, why don't you come with a management job? I go, you gotta fucking earn it. But that's just the mentality in society right now. And I told them I can bitch about the millennials and Gen Z and all that shit. And I do. I do my fair amount of bitching. But here's the fact. I know that my kids, their rise to the top will be so much easier and faster than mine, 10 times easier than my parents and 100 times easier than our grandparents, because back then everybody knew how to hustle. And the reason I've been able to have so much success right now is because I grind.
Yep.
And nobody else is willing to. Listen, they're pandering. And it happens every election. It's getting worse and worse and worse, and we can talk on that. But, I mean, people are sitting around. The longer you sit around waiting for the government to fix your problems and get that free check, the easier you've made my path to the fucking top. Because I found the reason I don't get on social media and make a lot of political statements is A, I hate politicians. And 2, because no one in the bottom bitching and pissing and moaning about their fucking opinion does anything. People at the top get shit done. And the faster I can get to the top, the sooner I can have a fucking impact.
How do we wake people up, Tim?
That's what I was going to say, though.
Be successful.
You said sheep and lions. If the lions don't, we're at a place right now, in my opinion, though, which is why we're doing this fucking podcast and why we've been speaking out. But if the lions don't speak up and do something, there ain't going to be shit for them to speak up about.
Oh no, and I know what you're saying, and it's I know that I have listened to Frisello, and I talked to one of his brother the other day, and this is his big movement on it right now too. And I go, people are speaking up. I said, Andy hates Frisello, for instance. I love the real AF. He's like, people, you stand up. I go, listen, you can say that sitting from your $7 million house, jackass. Some of us deal with public and retail, and I can't offend if how this is why people are quiet right now is because this specific topic got politicized. Mm-hmm. Had this been an Apple talk about health and not picked up by opposing political parties, people would step up. But anybody in business, especially with the general public, knows one very big fucking lesson. Do not post publicly a personal political side opinion. You will cut your fucking business in half. Look at the most successful people in the last 40 years. Michael Jordan. I said this in the city council meeting 5 weeks ago. everywhere Nikes. Democrats, Republicans, so I'll shut the hell up and make that money. Because the only color, I don't care about your red or blue. I care about that green, because that green allows me to make decisions. And so I don't, and that's the reason why people have been quiet this time.
And every critical thinker hates LeBron James right now.
Yeah.
I do feel like we're getting so divided though now that I feel like there are, all right, so everybody's scared to speak up, and you have that fear of like, okay, if I say what I really 100% believe in, not you, because you speak anyways, but a lot of business owners, I've got this fear, people aren't going to shop at my store. I do really feel like there is a lot of, if you're thinking it, there's millions of other quiet motherfuckers thinking it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I feel like speaking up and standing for who you are and what you believe in at a time like this, there's a lot of other people that are still going to follow you and buy your shit.
Oh, and I get what you're saying. And the thing for me is like, there's all these Rexius franchises. They are not held guilty because of my sins. The name's on the door. And so if I make a statement, I'm literally deciding that statement for them, even if it's not what they represent. There's a bigger thing in play. And so I don't say a lot of things that I would love to say. And two, is if you say what you believe is one thing. If you say, hey, I identify with this party or that party, this is my guy, that's my girl, now you have a different line. So people are like, what? And I get it all the time. What side of the political aisle are you on? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I took a goddamn monster truck right down the middle of that bitch and kicked them all to the curb.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I am fiscally conservative as hell. Socially, I don't give a shit what you do.
Yep.
I said, I don't, I don't. And yeah, I'm conservative. I'm a business owner. I have to balance the budget. I got to be in the black at the end of the month. That's conservatism 101. Businesses don't run on red. We run on the black. And that's just how I work. I'm like, you can't pay for shit for money you don't have. You can't keep printing money and making money you don't have. It's just somewhat, people are campaigning on making a $15 minimum wage nationally. In theory, and that's the difference between theory and applicability. In theory, it sounds great. Applicability doesn't make sense. If you look at the findings from the CBO, you'll raise 1.6 million people in the United States out of 365 million. Only 1.6 million people out of poverty with the $15 minimum wage. But studies show it'll cause a 12 million job loss in 6 months. So 1.6 million people are out of poverty. 12 million people lose their jobs. And I'm guessing the people who are at the bottom, that 1.6 million, they're probably the first of the 12 million to lose their fucking job. It doesn't actually fucking work. And the thing is, Walmart and Amazon and Target and all these big companies, they can afford that shit. I cannot. Exactly. Again, only 4 classifications for corporations in the United States. People were like, it was the whole pandering thing, like, oh, we're only raising taxes over 400,000. That was a bold-faced fucking lie. Payroll taxes, and they won't get their way anyway, so it's okay. We'll go from 37% to 52%. That was one of the top 4 taxes. Well, that's every person in the United States who collects a goddamn check. And since people don't understand economics, and that's it. And that's not an
That means you just got fucked if you're getting a check.
That's not an anti-Biden thing. That's an anti-bullshit thing. Trump stating the unemployment rate's at 7% and falling. That is a bullshit, bold-faced fucking lie. You know it's a lie. They are not categorizing or factoring in small business unemployment. That's not getting factored. This is just people who worker bees who collect your check and got canned. They're not counting any of those small business corporations whatsoever into that number, or that mathematically does not make sense. I'm against politicians lying and pandering and using the media as their fucking arm to manipulate with propaganda the shit that you believe and what you think is actually real when it's not. It doesn't work like that. Tell my kids, in theory, it'd be great if everyone just shared everything they got. And applicability, it doesn't fucking work because there's always a fucking freeloader and there's always one person doing 90% of the work.
That's what I was going to say. Why would the person putting the fries in the broiler learn how to flip the burgers or work the register if they're getting paid $15 an hour to show up and they have no reason to work their way up? You need that starting ground.
It's socialism study 101. You go to schools and then you say the same thing. And there's a reason why people flooded this country away from socialist nations. There's a reason, and that's why you see vote changes and swifts happening in all sorts of different demographics. People are like, the people leave those countries for a reason. Venezuela was one of the wealthiest countries in the mid-'90s, one of the wealthiest per capita, and they had the lowest poverty rate, the lowest impoverishment rate, everything. And within 25 years, they are one of the most dirt poor, civil rights violation countries. They have some of the worst disease, the worst medical. You have the cartels and the military controlling the oil distributions. You have 2 ruling parties. We can't step in. It's a shit show. That's what socialism does. Because here's the simple fact is, if I wasn't crazy, now if you understand what I'm saying, and you do, like you went on your own, you built, you decided, also needed your money, right? If I'm not dumb enough and crazy enough to leave a very good paying job when I'm 29, start a little fucking shop, which now is spurred into 25 locations, was spurred into several gyms, was spurred into like 3 other companies. There's over 300 people and families that collect checks from Rexius Inc. None of those people would have jobs or have any of those businesses if I wasn't just batshit crazy enough to go for it. But if you take away my motivation of my result, shit's gone. I'm not doing it.
Yep.
I can make a lot of money doing other shit. I don't have to work 80-hour work weeks.
Drive for Amazon, listen to podcasts all day.
We know. I'm like, what the fuck would weekends off look like?
Dude,
holy shit! Like, what do you people do?
That's the whole thing. If socialism does come our way and this shit actually happens, everybody's gonna fucking work for Amazon. Yeah. Everybody's gonna work for one of these big corporations like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and so whatever the fuck it is, Facebook. The thing is, and for people that don't know or have like a skewed perception of what socialism truly is, what socialism means, which is a lead towards communism, is basically the government owns everything. The government owns everything. You don't personally own anything. Everybody has a job and you get compensated from the government for your job. But there's no like, okay, this guy's a fucking hustler. He can go out and do better than this guy. Like there's no drive anymore. There's no, I'm going to succeed.
Only if you impress the next level manager. And that's the problem. They say, you ever watch the movie Office Space?
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love Office Space. Great. Thank you. I go, you got TPS reports. He's talking to the boss. He's like, I got 7 bosses right now. These guys, what? He goes, I got 7 people. They're going to yell at me every time I fuck shit up or if I want to move up. That's the problem with middle management and corporations is that this is where if you want to move up, you got to kiss the ass of the next boss ahead of you. You can't jump ahead of him because he's going to keep you down. Well, in America, it's beautiful because you can start your own shit.
That's the whole point of America. That's my thing. Is like I live on an acreage.
And capitalism isn't perfect.
I love it.
Capitalism is not perfect by any means.
And nothing's perfect.
No, but it's just the best thing we've come up with yet. If you got a better one, I'm all ears.
We just haven't done socialism right yet.
I've heard that. I don't think you're going to get it right.
No, you can't get
in theory.
Right.
And the thing is, it's like theory. So I have one of my daughters, and my kids all kind of develop their own political opinions because we don't pick political sides in my house. Never have. We do what's right and what's wrong. I don't use a prism of red or blue to justify my actions, inequities, or ineptitudes. I use right and wrong. And I'm very, very vocal on that, on everything I do. If you start using the prism of the political party you associate with to justify how you act and the things that you do and the things you say to people, you're fucked. And this is why you're cutting your shit in half. I don't. I use right and wrong. Pretty simple. But I have one daughter who's more on that side. She goes, well, I don't think socialism is bad because we share things. I go, cool. You get all A's, right? She's like, I go, and you bust your ass, right? She's like, I go, name 5 kids in your class that don't. She's okay. All right. Well, I'm going to take your A and knock it to a C, and I'm going to raise their F to a C, so you guys are all even.
You guys all get C's. And no matter how much work you put in.
It's not hard to explain to a 13-year-old girl.
She goes, how little work they put in.
That's bullshit. I go, exactly. You take away my motivation. You take away my success. You take away my reward. I don't take the risk. I don't have to work 80 hours a week. And it's real simple. And people
that was socialism for a 3rd grader for guys that didn't catch it.
And pretty much easy as hell. And that's the other thing is too. So this country is not divided in political parties. There are many thought processes. It's divided by 2 groups of people: people who want to be left the fuck alone to their own devices, and people who think they're smarter than everybody else and can make that decision better than you can for yourself.
Why are we so divided, Tim?
Honestly, AI took over our media content about 4 years ago. And it's people are like, I'm a huge Terminator guy, Schwarzenegger, whatever. You're always talking about, how AI is going to take over. And this is how it happens, how Skynet takes over. Anybody else watch Terminator, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Skynet overtook over.
Or the 100. Have you seen the 100?
Oh, yeah. Skynet overtook over.
Awesome.
Skynet took over 4 years ago. Social Dilemma on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore because of their whole, promote child porn. I haven't had it since. But I did watch it before my subscription ended. Great fucking show. And if all these original founders and tech developers of all these social media companies, A, do not let their kids have social media, B, never have notifications on their phone whatsoever and share no data, why the fuck do you think Bob from Mississippi, I got this shit figured out? No, you don't, honky tonk. Turn that shit off. I haven't had a sound on my phone now in 3 years. I get so many fucking messages and shit that they would call me, gotta have a goddamn stroke. But yet we're sheep. Well, we know better. We got this. Mm-hmm. Like, it's with our kids. We had the same problem. All of a sudden, I'm like, did these fuckers ever get off their phones? And she's like, what? I go, I'm gonna log in the account and shut everybody's shit off for an hour. Oh man, you should have seen the shit breaking in my house. These girls are like, I'm gonna miss out. Good. Be present in today. And that's AI took over. And this is why we're so divided, because they're showing you things you want. Now, I got somebody else calling yesterday and they're asking, like, they want to know political opinions. Like, what's the fix for this with the dividing of the country, promoting socialism, letting these big giants of the industries decide what we're going to think, see, and hear?
Talk to your neighbors.
No, I mean that. But they're like, we should remove Section 230 for social media companies. It's the Protection Act. That's a stupid fucking idea. Because then now they're basically, okay, if I'm held responsible for what you see, I'm only going to show you what I want you to see.
What's 230 again? I keep hearing about it.
Section 230 is back in 1996, I believe. Basically, when the internet first came out, the social media companies at that point in time were treated as a bulletin board. People were just posting the random ideas. We are not held liable. We are not held liable for any of the content posted by any of our users. Section 230 would remove that protection right, which now somebody says something like Facebook is now liable, Twitter.
Like rampant election fraud.
And so what you'll see is instead of thinking like, oh, now they have to show everything. No, they'll be real fucking choosy. Now they're really only going to show you the stuff that they firmly believe in and are willing to go to court over, which may be their political beliefs. And understand these guys are okay losing a $100 million lawsuit for the political beliefs. It's no different than making a campaign donation to the guy they love the most. Mm-hmm. It's the same difference. People don't understand, like, well, they wouldn't report the news if you weren't watching it. Bullshit. A lot of these news stations, these news companies, if you actually look at their corporate entities that actually own them and their pass-throughs, and you actually look and pull off, because they're all traded on the stock market. I go back to the whole people not understanding fucking finances. Pull it up. You can pull up everything on every company that's on the damn stock market. Every P&L, every profit loss, every DBA pass-through entity. I can see exactly what each one of these news outlets makes. Guess what? They all lose their ass. We're like, why would they keep posting this shit and people feeding this shit?
How do they stay in business when they're losing money?
Because they make money in other companies.
Exactly.
And this is just one
because
investment.
They're owned by other people.
It's no different. So that when I go and spend money on a radio ad, that's just money out. I'll make the money back in on customers who come in the store. Welcome to how media actually works. And for them, it's no different than picking a favorite political party, whether that be red or blue.
For them, it's advertising.
It's advertising.
It's just
one. It's a different way to like. It's like trade for services. I can either give you $10,000 or I can come do a job for you that's worth $10,000. And that's how they get through it. And this is how they get around campaign finance laws. This is how they get around super PACs. This is how they get around all the campaign donations. Like, one guy can't donate $1 billion to one candidate, but he can give you $1 billion worth of goodies on the side in different outfits, and it doesn't violate campaign laws. And people just don't understand how economics works. It's like a problem. People just have no education on this shit whatsoever. And if you're not educated, then you're going to believe whatever you tell you, and you're a good little sheep, and you're going to fucking go do it.
You have a degree in like biology, right?
Biomechanical engineering.
Yeah.
Okay. Biomechanical. So I know you're not like a microbiologist or virologist.
That's actually what I worked at.
Okay.
For 7 years.
So curious, curveball for you. Coronavirus, man-made, or did it come from a wet market in Wuhan?
I've been asked that a lot.
Thoughts? Obviously, again, you don't know for a fact.
I don't. In my personal opinion, it's so hard to tell when we don't have clear information from China. We have no idea how the original transmission rate actually happened. We know where it's sourced from, which you can always find out. Just like AIDS, we know where AIDS sourced from, but it took us 30 years to make it even remotely compatible. We knew where AIDS came from. We just couldn't do anything about it.
Fucking monkeys.
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing is, like with the coronavirus, we just don't have the data how the original transmissions were actually happening, how they were propagated, if there was a mutation, if there wasn't. It's really hard to tell. The fact that this really hasn't had a true mutation, the way the structure of it, they took a common cold and basically it's just another subset, which is what the 19 stands for, and how common colds are very transmissionable. And you took something that really isn't very lethal, but it's enough to freak people out. I don't know. If I'm
man-made, I think it's man-made.
I'm betting on, if I had to guess, man-made. Just the way it was dispersed, the way that they said it released makes no sense. But without the Chinese data, I wouldn't put money on it per se by any means, but the way that it actually interacts. You got to think back when I first got in the field in 2003, we thought West Nile virus was a terrorist attack. Homeland Security is one who put us through a lot of our education in field doing ULV travel testing for mosquitoes and shit, because people like that shit was scary as hell. Avian, swine, shit was scary as hell. I told you I was using hazmat suits at first. Like, I wasn't fucking kidding. That's straight up. And we all caught West Nile. We go like in Nebraska alone, 2003, we lost 1,000 head of thoroughbred horse. You know how many millions of dollars that is? That's just one state. Like it caused a massive devastation to our economies. And what we do, we went and sprayed basically polyurethanes and pyrethrins into the air for everyone to breathe so we can kill all the fucking bugs. We're like, oh, we'll be good, you know. And that's just I'm sure I'm gonna have some effect from it from someday. I don't know, but
are you gonna get the vaccine?
No,
me neither.
And it's certainly a vaccine.
It's fucking mRNA.
It is. So it's basically
it's synthetic DNA that's never been used before.
Well, see, the science has been around for about 20 years. I'm less hesitant.
But it's never been in a vaccine.
It's not even a vaccine. So that's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm less nervous about taking this vaccine than if it was an actual vaccine. So a lot of vaccines used to use mercury until 2004. Now they use formaldehyde. You know, the same thing used to bomb people, knocks your immunities down. They put a weak strain version of the virus in. Your body defeats that weak strain virus. It builds antibodies, also known as programming for your system, so that if it ever comes in full dose, you can beat it. That's how vaccines work. This is not the case. It's not putting in the same kind of virus. It's not. It's putting in programming, basically meant to. So they've been using this. They've been developing the science for 20 years to deal with inoperable tumors and cancer. It's just
never been used before though,
because there's too much money. They knew how to do it. They just couldn't do it until the government gave them a blank fucking check, which is why they came out so fast. And the reason it's so easy to kill is because I told you it's easy to kill. You're giving up 5% of efficacy from what your body has for the shot. No, I'm good. I already had it. I didn't even know I had it. I found out 3 months after I had the antibodies. And like, I'm not real worried about it. If people in my family, they're all doctors, they want to get the shot, go get it. It doesn't bother me. I don't get the flu shot. I don't judge anybody for getting the fucking flu shot. Go get yours. I just don't. I'm good.
You're talking about a vaccine for me that was rushed in 7 months clinical trial.
Well, see, so prior to this, the fastest we've ever brought a vaccine, actual vaccine, is 4.5 years from months. Yeah. Prior to that was almost 7.5 years. When you're doing an actual vaccine, you're using mercury formaldehyde, and how that actually translates to the mitochondrial cell portion. It takes about 7 years to find out whether or not it's going to cause cancer. Now, according to 1988 vaccination policy standards, is you cannot sue any pharmaceutical company in the United States for any side effect, any vaccine ever. So when we were kids, I'm older than you guys, we had eight or nine vaccines. Now they have 47. Why would that be? So HPV is already known to have caused cancer in people, and also as anti-cancer vaccine. Is it still in the market? It's still being marketed to people. Oh, it's not that many. Does it matter? I mean, it's like, ask any person who works for the FDA. The number one thing that they won't take. The FDA, the people we're trusting to approve these things. The number one thing anybody who works for the FDA won't take is Tylenol. What is perfectly fucking legal for any child to go into the store and buy? Tylenol.
Why? It's
so fucking toxic. It causes 400% more enzymatic property damage to your liver than any oral steroid that's ever been created. It's so fucking toxic on your liver. It's ridiculous. Take ibuprofen, take your NSAIDs, take your leave. Just don't take Tylenol's terrible for you. But I've met a lot of FDA guys, and most of these guys are cool. Most of these guys are former Secret Service agents. Just when they want to stop traveling, they have kids, they go work for the FDA instead. They're actually, the guy that comes up here, he's a badass. He's cool and shit. But he's like, what's the one thing you won't take? You Tylenol. Thank you. I mean, they'll tell you straight to their face, but it's still legal. But these are the same guys that we're allowing to make these safety decisions for us. But why is that still legal? We all know how much alcohol and tobacco kills people every year. They're legal. Why? Because people have paid enough money for the right to do so. And that's just
There's more people that die from secondhand smoke every year than the coronavirus has killed this year.
Well, the total U.S. population or deaths of population are lower than it's been in the last 4 years. I think now we're starting to catch up, but we're not going to hit what we lost last year before COVID even existed. Now the thing is, like, are there a certain population that is very susceptible that has a very high mortality? Yeah, really old people and really obese people. That's right. And listen, I'm not going to judge you for how you got to be as big as you are any more than I can judge somebody being 98 years old. It's not. That's transmittable. I mean, it is what you are. You take the correct steps. Telling me I need to protect you when you smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day, down a bottle of Sailor Jerry's, and eat McDonald's 17 times a day has got nothing to do with me. Like I'm like, hey, I'm hoping that people come out of this with a more positive attitude. That I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to drop the cigarettes. I'm going to drop the booze. I'm going to start working out because I'm watching all these motherfuckers hit the gym, and none of them are getting sick. That's what I'm hoping.
I haven't seen any fit person get sick.
They don't.
From coronavirus. Any. So the crazy thing to me, so I did a lot of digging last night, right? The flu, influenza, regular flu, has killed anywhere between 60 to 80,000 people the last few years per year. Mm-hmm. This year on CDC's fucking website right now, you can go to the 2020 flu death rate, and there is none. There's no flu case. Nope. It even says on here that we are on an unusual low for the flu right now.
Unusual?
Yeah, it's like 2%, right? The flu's gone.
Like there's no fucking, flu activity is unusually low at this time, but may increase in the coming months.
Because everything's COVID.
Exactly. That's my whole fucking point. So we've got, all right, so I want to get into this, right? You just said it, but I don't know if people picked up on it. This is the crazy thing to me. 2018 to 2019 to 2020, we've lost about the same number of people per year globally. Or, all right, just in the U.S. Lost about the same amount of people in 2018 that we did total in 2019. 2020 is on track to be close to that same fucking number, right? How is that if we've lost 380,000 people to COVID deaths? Shouldn't that number be 380,000 more than it was in 2018 and 2019? This shit doesn't make any sense. And then you're telling me that the flu goes from a death rate of 80,000 to 0? How the fuck is that?
And here's the thing.
It's all these deaths are getting labeled COVID when COVID is not actually killing them.
And there's a lot of the reasons for that too. There's a lot of insurance, there's a lot of money, and I'm not going to get into a lot of that, but we'll say it this way. I've been paying in business liability insurance, so have you, for decades.
Yep.
I have paid in a lot of money. I've never actually filed a claim on my business policies, I think, ever. I just take care of my own shit. I mean, one time I had a break-in. I think I had to file for that. That was it. But there's only one clause in liability policies for businesses that are unpayable, and it's pandemic. So all these businesses, they have insurance. No, they fucking don't. It's like the ultimate act of God clause in insurance policy. So when I had to shut down one of my stores because of state regulations, I called up my insurance guy, who I've known since I was 7 years old. Solid cat, works for a big company. He's like, yeah, bro. He was
one of your buddies too.
He goes, literally, I don't care if Jesus came down on clouds from heaven and says, pandemic. He goes, I can't do shit. So don't kick my ass and don't be pissed. I'm like, you've got to be fist fucked. So all these businesses that close, all the business interruption insurance policies, you name it, pandemic is the one clause that negates that fucking policy. I know there's been term life lawsuits already. There's some people like, well, they lost because of pandemic clause. Now, some companies are paying out regardless. Good for you. There are a few companies that are like, no, pandemic, that's act of God. Somebody paid in a term life insurance policy for 30 years and then dies on their way to the hospital in a motorcycle accident, right, or whatever, and they happen to catch COVID. They're exhuming bodies to test them for COVID. There's a reason. Like, why wouldn't the U.S. pay 18 or 19,000 and 38,000? I go, well, it's quite a savings.
Why do we have more tests than anybody else?
Exactly. And so, in fact, is like the data is not right. If you go, and here's my thing. When people say do your own research, fucking literally going to say this, do your own research. I don't watch CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox News. I listen to a little bit of Fox Business because I just need to know the stocks. That's it.
They're all owned by the same people anyway.
I read my own shit. If you want to know what's going on in your state, go to your state website, go to your state health department. They list all the data with nobody's bullshit behind it. My other master's degree is in neurolinguistic programming. I understand the formation of words and sentences, heightened audio complexes and everything else to get you to believe the things that I want you to believe. I'm damn good. That's why I sell a lot of shit. I'm good at it. I'm good. And look at my wife. I'll kick my cupboard, talk to her in a lot of shit she doesn't really, that she would want to do. Anyways, 6 kids later. But the point is that they understand, like, you can actually, if you know what to look for, I can hear the bias in every fucking news station on every single thing I ever listen to, and it pisses me off. So I literally, it's not just I'm mad, I literally can't stand it. If you were a seasoned salesperson and you had a rookie at a car, at a car dealership try to sell you a car, and you're like, this is painful to fucking
last
watch.
one on the lot. I got a couple interested buying over here.
Exactly. That's how I feel every time I turn on the bullshit news. And they're being told what to say. I don't blame the anchors. I blame the owners. And so go to your own state websites. Go to the NFIB. Go to the SBA. You can find all the information you want with the Freedom of Information Act. You can literally find everything you want to know. And just go do the math yourself. Go look up COVID cases. How are they tested? Flu cases in my state, my county. You can look all that shit up on the state website, county website. Those health department, they've been doing that shit for decades. People are just unaware of how it works. And it's the financial portion, like people are like, I think we need to change the entire structure. Now, people keep saying we need to show budgeting and shit in high school. No, we don't. That is in fucking junior high. In high school, we need to have a class called wealth management, where you actually learn how stocks work, How does the stock market actually function? How do corporation taxes? What's FICA? What does it mean when your employer has to match? I actually have one of my managers who left to go be a franchise owner. It's awesome. So happy for him. It's badass. It's just so fucking cool, right? But then all of a sudden, it's kind of, I've told him 100 times how well I pay him. It's like me telling my wife how lucky she is to have me, and she's like, whatever. But no, he goes, holy shit. I go, yeah. Somebody's getting paid $40,000 or $50,000 a year. That's an $80,000 a year job for that boss. You don't realize how many taxes we have to match, how much health insurance and group benefits and all that shit costs. And all of a sudden, he had to pay for health insurance. He had to pay for this. And he goes, holy shit. I go, you're welcome. You're fucking welcome. What I've been dealing with the last 4 years, like this is what it costs to employ people. And yeah, for a big group like Amazon that has 100,000 employees in a health insurance group, it ain't shit. For me, that only has 5 or 6 full-time employees in the health group plan. I've gone up 7 to 13% every year since 2011. That shit fucking hurts. So I have to get benefits to have talent. Yep. Otherwise,
that's same position.
You have no choice.
Yep.
And so
I can't get good people in if I don't offer these things.
You have to have it, and it just sucks. And it's that shit didn't exist back when I first started.
No,
but now you have.
The funny thing is if you look back at my company 10 years ago or 11 years ago when I started it, my rates are about the same. I was getting about the same per service that I'm getting now, but the wages that I'm paying and the benefits that I provide are doubled. Yeah. Easily doubled.
Well, yeah, it might have to. I've gotten better and better health insurance. I cover more and more percentages. I do more and more bonuses, more and more profit sharing.
Tim, what time do you got to get out of here?
I just sent my wife over to the store.
Okay, good. I was going to say, I
had her open up for me.
But you guys mosey on. I got to take a piss real quick. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
I'll be back. But that's also, I think, part of the point is that people just need to have an education, and we have to start with our kids.
Here's the thing that I'm going to say, man, and this is just, it's truth and it's fact to what's going on right now. We had the first shutdown, right? The first lockdown, businesses closed. There are a lot of businesses that never made it back from that.
Yep.
Lots of them. The ones that were lucky enough to make it back from that reopened. Then they had, these business owners have been super fucking compliant, creative. You're talking restaurants and bars.
You look in New York and California.
Yeah, that have created outdoor spaces that have put up, spent thousands of dollars on, fucking plexiglass or masks or, cut the restaurant capacity in half. So they have, 6 feet apart from tables. We're talking, I don't even know, but I guarantee you it's tens of thousands of dollars per company, per restaurant, per bar that they could have easily spent just to be able to comply to stay open, right? So they're already fucked. They had a shutdown. They had a loss. Then they're bringing in half their income because they're not at full capacity. Then they have to spend money that's their money. The government did not give them money. The government didn't say, hey, you can stay open and comply. We'll give you a grant to update to what we require. The government didn't say that. So this is their money that they're paying to stay open. And then now on top of that, on top of all this shit, we shut them down again. Well, they're not going to fucking open again. They're not coming back.
And I'll start right now. For anybody else who's maybe watching this that says, well, you guys got PPP. I just filled my PPP forgiveness application today. I spent 2.5 times on payroll in that 24-week time period than what the government allowed me to have.
Yep.
So if you think for 1 second, the PPP, was it not? Yeah, I still lost more than what the PPP gave me because of shutdowns and minimized hours and people were freaking the fuck out and hoarding cash. So if you think that the government grants and all that shit were like, oh, these guys are sitting on it, fuck off. Absolutely 1,000% fuck off. When I had to do that math today, what I spent between April 18th and October 3rd for the 24-week time period, and what I got was 2.5 times is what I spent just on payroll. Because they made it for payroll, rent, utilities. If you figured out all that, it was 5 times between rent, utilities, payroll, and everything else. It was 5 times what the government gave me back in April. So, and now they're going to count as income more than likely that I'm going to pay taxes on. So you can 1,000% kiss my ass on that deal.
Not only that, I lost through coronavirus in that time. I lost half my fucking workforce. Well, we did a podcast on it.
Well, and that's so
then I had to hire more guys in the middle of a fucking pandemic to try to keep my company rolling during this PPP. But what happens when you lose half your workforce and you have to hire people on the fly?
Well, that's
you got to pay them more fucking money
because
it costs more money.
And the other thing is, I had 10 employees who still haven't come back to work because they were getting too much unemployment. And now they want to come back because unemployment's going up. Like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your honor code doesn't match with mine. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to turn you in. If the state asks, I'm going to tell them. I'm not going to lie for you either.
Right.
But I offered your job back. But I go, you don't align with my honor code. I'm not going to judge you personally. You just can't be part of my circle. And I've told that to 10 people. And one, I think I hired him back recently because he came in and basically we had a really good conversation. I'm like, you got to get right because you ain't ever going to get anywhere if you don't. And I said, at the end of the day, it comes down to you knowing when you look in the mirror, are you the man that took a free check or are you the man that went and earned that shit?
Tim, what do you say to someone who knows that, all right, well, when we first saw this pandemic, people were like keeling over on the street, convulsing, and everyone was dying. They're spraying down the streets. Obviously, now they know it's not that bad, but they don't think that this is just a series of a bunch of agendas at place. What do you say to maybe just get them down the right path to figure out stuff?
Or the guy that says, when it's done, it's going to go back to normal.
Yeah,
I still hear that. When it's done, I'm just waiting for a few more weeks till it gets back to normal.
Here's what you do. All right, this is going to be the best part, and I've already kind of laid this out. Over the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to find out just how full of shit everyone actually was.
It's already starting to come out.
It's already starting to come out, but over the next 6 to 12 months, once the efficacy of these vaccines hit, you're looking April into June. What mandates are still in place when there is no rate of calculation? And then you're going to find out who it is. And the great equalizers in 2 years at midterm elections. I think you're going to have a sweep of people getting kicked the fuck out of office for the states that got. So the thing is, like, the reason I like the United States, okay, is because each state is its own economy. Each state has its own GDP. Each state has its own set of laws. If you don't fucking like it, and I'm not saying this is easy, fucking move.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
Like for me, I get it.
There's millions of people leaving California.
I got an ex-wife. I got kid. I got custody shit. I get it. I totally fucking get it. It's not always easy, but it's definitely doable. You're not applying to live in another country. You're moving across the border. If I really hated Nebraska, which I don't, it's 5 miles, boys. I'm in Iowa.
Yep.
It ain't real hard.
Hey, Iowa's got better taxes.
Yeah, that's something.
They just got a lot of meth.
Yeah, they got a lot. So they got a lot of casinos too. So I'm gonna catch 22. But and that's the thing. It's like literally remember this shit. Educate your damn self. So the fact is, over the next 6 to 12 months, you're gonna find like that dude's full of shit. I think you're gonna see a sweep of the amount of governors that lose their jobs in 2 years at midterm elections. I think you're gonna see parties switch. And the thing is, like, people,
I want to say quick, guys, that needs to happen. Like, if you don't agree with what's happening right now,
either move or vote them out.
Exactly. I'm so fucking sick of hearing people complain but not do anything about it.
Agreed.
Not take action.
I like people moving from California to Texas and then voting on the same bullshit that drove them out of California.
Exactly.
It's honestly, if you actually look at the data, Texas has moved more to the red than they have to the blue. And because people are leaving those states and those kind of things as it is. Like,
it's good news. I mean, for the people aren't.
But the thing is, like, here's the thing we got to stop as a society is letting the 10% of each party, the extremists, make the fucking narrative. Because not most of us are down the goddamn middle. It's what do they say? I want to see my gay best friends get married
while smoking weed.
I
do too.
Protecting their home with the guns.
Yep.
Because that's how I feel.
Amen.
Worshiping whatever God it is that they feel that they need to. By all means, God bless America. Go get it done. Like that's where 90% of this country actually is. We're letting the fucking crazies. But here's the thing.
I want to say that the crazies are super fucking loud. That's what people don't get. Like, people hear all this shit going on this one side, and they think like, oh my God, that's what everybody thinks. That's what's going on in the media. That's what everybody's seeing. It's just a really fucking loud minority. And the truth is that we have this silent majority that's more in line with what we're saying here on this podcast. That's just not fucking loud.
Well, the crazy socialists, like that wing of it, man, they're already doing their own damage. They're also the ones who are part of cancel culture. And I think every person in this country, left or right or center, is kind of really sick of that.
Yep.
I mean, really, it's all of it. Like,
this is our get canceled episode.
Well, this is
I think this is America on Fire Part 3.
And it was funny because I had to make a very bold statement a few weeks back when one of my franchisees decided to make some disparaging remarks about then or now whatever VP Kamala Harris because of her as a woman. That wasn't political. And so it's funny. I go, you're done. I yanked his franchise, and it was hard, and it was me. I left myself in lawsuits and all sorts of shit. And then it was funny the amount of backlash I got, and a lot of positive. And people were like, "What side of the aisle are you on?" I go, "Doesn't need an aisle. I have daughters.
What's right and what's wrong."
If your daughter does something massively awesome someday, and somebody said she only got there for performing sexual favors, you were going to make some heads roll because that's your fucking little girl. Mm-hmm. Now, I imagine every time something happens, it's my wife or my daughters because that's how you judge things between right and wrong, not a political side. And people are making shitty fucking decisions based on their team. And like I said, we got to quit using.
We're all a team, bro.
We're all
that's what people don't understand. We are all fucking America. The people that are, if there is a force that's trying to bring socialism into the country, or say that's shutting down for no reason, they want you divided. That's the whole fucking point. If we're together, they're fucked.
The election itself.
You can't fight a country that is united as one. If we are one, you cannot fight us. If we're divided and we're already fighting each other, you fucking win.
Well, see, and the election itself was a testament to the fact that just how many people are not going to allow that to happen on either side. That it just isn't going to happen. And you'd ask me, like, what do people do? It's real simple. Us people who grinded through this, who made money, who did those things, we have to be loud. We have to do it from a non-political standpoint. We need to show the success, show the journey, have podcasts, write blogs, do that extra effort that we don't get paid for, and put it out there for people. And it's funny because I had to go through all these years and all this shit, and I literally had people come in my store and be like, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?" I'm like, "I fucking hate them all." And they're like, they've been following me. Like, and the fact that you don't know is exactly the goddamn point, because now you're listening to words I'm saying based on my moral structure, my honor code, not based on what person you think I vote for on the right or the left. First Tuesday of fucking November every 4 years.
All right, so you don't have a dog in the race. Who gets inaugurated on January 20th?
I was going to ask that. What's going on?
Biden gets inaugurated.
You think?
Yes. The legal standpoint. So the thing is there a legal case? And people ask me, I read an absolute ridiculous amount.
You don't think there was election fraud?
Oh, there's definitely fraud.
So you just think the Supreme Court's going to throw it out?
They weren't going to look at it. So here's how it works. You got to understand the Constitution works. The Constitution delegates the state's authorities to the state legislatures. Each one of those is its own set of laws. The United States Supreme Court job isn't to come over and be the all-authoritarian kings and queens of a court. Their job is to look at each individual set of laws and see if there's a violation of the Constitution. When it comes to a national election, which is done by the states as a complete union, but each person does it individually, no singular one of those events is enough to overturn the election. Thus, they don't hear it. It goes back to the state legislature. Legislature can sue through the state Supreme Court. Only if then if there's an issue there where they can file an appeal, can it go to the Supreme Court and rule on it? But none of those are going to change the election. So each one individually in its own right cannot change the election whatsoever. The Supreme Court won't rule on it. It wasn't even in 2000. When we had a discrepancy in Florida. It was one state, and it did outcome the election. In steps the Supreme Court because that is their role. There is no singular event in any of this that's tied that they can show that would overturn the election, so the Supreme Court won't even look at it. Texas suing other states for how they run their legislature. Texas law wasn't violated by another state. That's why they didn't look at it. I think they should have, but they didn't look at it. I mean, the Dominion voting machines in Michigan, one county, showed a 68%.
They looked at it. It was 2-7, right?
They even look at it. They voted on whether or not they would even hear it. They even hear the case. They just voted on whether or not they would even listen to the case. They didn't listen to it. They did Dominion voting machines. Everybody else is freaking out about that. And I'm like, it sounds like conspiracy theory shit to me. That's like Big Brother crap, right? I was like, I don't know. Well, they just did an audit in one county in Michigan. It's a 68% fraud rate. Yeah. Now that's that. I mean, and this isn't for one side or the other.
So if there was voter fraud and this shit gets through, how do we change that in the future?
This is the whole point. It's not going to change the outcome of the election. Biden's going to get inaugurated. This protects elections in the future, because what you're going to have is exactly what you had the last 4 years. You're not legitimate. Let's go to court. Let's impeach. Let's do this bullshit. Now the other party is going to do the same thing, and we're going to have this constant. Nobody wants a repeat of the bullshit the last 4 years. That was as far as arguing and impeachment and tax dollars and all that shit. It's going to happen again the other way. Because it's the same exact thing, because you got half the country legitimately doesn't feel like the elected official is legitimate. Now, it was like, well, we had to deal with it last time. That nobody should have to deal with it ever. Period. So the thing is, in the last time they tried unsolicited mail-in voting, if you just want to be a historian, was during Abraham Lincoln's second term. It failed because they tried to steal the election, so they assassinated him instead. There's a reason why we don't do this. You got to ask yourself this:
mail-in voting for a virus so deadly, you have to get tested to know if you have it.
Here's the thing, and here's my thing. And this isn't like a conservative Republican or a social, or liberal Democrat thing. This is just a me thing. Imagine this story of this election is being told in a movie, and it's set in Argentina.
Like a hell of a movie.
But I think every person sitting back would be like, "Oh, they're going to steal this shit." it's only because it represents your party. You're like okay with it and you make justifications, or it's not your team and then you're overly sensitive and angry about it, like too much so. It's the same thing we have when we've made team mentalities in politics, and that's the problem. I've seen some of the greatest people in my life that I love dearly, my mother, who when it comes to Nebraska football and her politics, right, she'll make justifications for her team. Oh, well, he didn't really mean to do that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he just did armed robbery last Friday, Mom. But we need him for Saturday. No, like, I mean, Lawrence Phillips was like a deplorable human being. Like, he was a great running back in the 90s. Like, he didn't really mean it. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure he did.
Yeah, he meant it.
Yeah, he meant it. Yeah, that was one scary motherfucker. But because it was for her team, she allowed it. People do this in politics all the time. And we make certain assessments for the things they do. Like, well, he's on my team, so it's okay. He's, a deplorable human being and took $800 million on the side from a fucking pharmaceutical company. No, the fuck it is. It's not okay. But we make exceptions, and we make exceptions, and we only get pissed when it happens to the other side, but we don't handle it on our side. This is what you're going to continuously have, and it get progressively worse for the next 40 fucking years. It's not going to get any better. If we don't start judging things based on a right and wrong character versus a red or blue, we are fucked. And that's
it won't be a country left.
And so it comes down to the parents making sure, and this is like Dads Who Live, Gray Podling. You want to know how to fix this? Educate your fucking children. Quit spreading hate. Educate them. Literally educate them. I will sit down with my kids. My kids over this break have learned, hey, how to build shit in the house. They have learned, they started looking at profit and loss statements and accounting software. Why? Because I fucking made them. Because they're sitting there driving me goddamn nuts. If I'm going to sit there and work, get you people to shut up, I'm going to put you to work. Because now it'll be quiet when I'm working on shit at home because they don't want to get asked to help. Right. But it's I'm going to educate them with the education they're not going to get in schools.
You know what I'm teaching my son right now, man? More than anything. One, as he's getting older, he's like 10, but one is just that he can fucking do anything. Yep. I think that's one of the biggest things ever. And I've been doing that, but more so now that he's getting a little bit older, getting to those ages where he is more capable. Mm-hmm. But second is I've really been teaching him just to be a fucking free thinker.
Yep.
Do your own research. Figure things out for yourself. Just because somebody says something's true does not mean that it's true. And I also teach him like, hey, man, there's certain things that we're going through right now, like math in school, that we have to do that you're doing, but it doesn't necessarily make it right.
Well, and that's the thing. So, like, we had a little mock vote in my house, right, with my kids. Like, who you guys voting for? I'm like, Trump. I'm thinking Biden. I'm like, okay. And so here's the thing. I let them say that. Don't make a household in your house where you're so one-sided that your kids would be scared to tell you they have an opposing opinion.
Exactly.
Got one more for you. It's kind of off the Richter scale here.
What's up?
Moon landing. Did it happen?
It happened.
All right. That means Trump might pull through.
Absolutely.
Not right about everything.
But no, here's the thing.
God.
But here's the thing with the parents, the kids. Because I'm able to allow them to voice their opinion, I'm able to ask questions. And remember this as parents. You learn a hell of a lot more by asking questions than you ever do by talking. I think a lot of us as bosses and parents forget that shit. And so the thing is, I'm like, well, why do you feel like?
Or just listening.
Why do you think socialism is bad? I said, okay, well, why is that? Let them articulate
the
what they're
Socratic method. Ask questions.
Yeah, don't put your thoughts on their mind.
You'll find out in 90% is that they've been told this by someone else and they have no fucking idea why. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't help them come to the realization process of what that actually means in a format that they can understand, you're never going to develop people who are strong enough to defend their positions and their opinions. And then that's the problem we have. And people, that's why people can't debate. You get mad and they start using trigger words to defend themselves because they don't have the actual information to justify their actions. And they'll use like socialist, commie,
fascist,
racist, liberal, conservative, freak, Tea Party, or whatever from both sides. It's nasty, it's ugly, and that's the first sign. Be like, you have no idea what the fuck. As soon as that happens to me, I'm like, oh, this is going to be gorgeous. You're fucking uneducated, which means I'm going to make you look like an idiot. And I love debate. I think the problem is the debate needs to stop happening on fucking social media because it's still two reasons.
I agree, man.
You can't.
100%.
If you and I want to disagree on a social media or on a political thing, we have this face to face. Two things are going to happen. One, I'm going to find out if you're full of shit or if you've been copying and pasting crap on the internet. And two, you won't talk shit or I won't talk shit to you because there's an actual consequence. We might punch each other in the face.
Right.
Two major social consequences.
And three, you can shake hands when you're done.
Exactly. You can actually say, Is this guy going to go and talk shit to somebody else? Like, I'm going to know what kind of moral character and fiber you have. And so if you want to have political debates, and I told people, fine, if you want to know what I think, here's where I work. Let's go grab a cup of coffee, one that's still open, one mass, scooters. Let's go there and let's have this conversation. And I have yet to have anyone ever change my mind on damn near anything with any actual factual data. If you show me something, cool, let's go. And that's, I'm not egotistical. Think I have it all figured out. I don't. If you can show me a better way,
you're open-minded. You just know your shit.
Like I know. I'm very confident. I don't talk about shit I don't feel confident.
Exactly.
If people ask me, like, I honestly don't really have an opinion on that. I'm not educated. Like, you start asking me shit about baseball, I'm gonna be like, yeah,
that's not my thing.
I will literally tell you, like, I think the Royals won because they're close to here and they're blue. Because I'm basically I'm that because I don't know shit about baseball. I fucking suck at it. I watch my kids play and I don't know what the fuck's going on. That's not my thing. But you want to talk about football and we're having ourselves a conversation. It's the same thing with certain things involved. Like, I don't understand certain things. Like, the reason I've taken so much education in the stock market is because I realized if I ever did want to run for office, if I ever do want to go to the elevated status, I need to understand this in and out. And I need to research it on my own, not be told by somebody else, because they may be putting a bias in their opinion of what I may hear.
I got one more big question for you.
Yeah.
Of course, we can go as long as you guys want, but I want to make sure I ask this question. There's another lockdown. As a small business owner, what do? Do you stay
fucking open?
Stay open?
Yes, you have to stay open. That's the only option.
At a certain point in time in your life, you need to find out what the fuck you're made of. And what do you believe in? Are you willing to stand up for it or not? And the simple fact is, if you go back to people who protested authoritarian control, people that I look up to, Martin Luther King.
Yep.
Peacefully protested, regardless of consequences to him. That's Muhammad Ali peacefully protested with consequences to him. You've seen this happen several times. So are you willing to stand up for what? I mean, if you even go back to the authoritarian cold Nazi Germany with the brown shirts, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, look this shit up and read it. Don't watch a fucking video.
America was made on protesting unjust laws.
It is, and it happened. And the people who stood against the brown shirt situation with Nazi Germany, they lost their lives, but they were willing to stand up for what they believe in. And I always try to channel my grandparents, the people who were the greatest generation, who fought World War II, who did things, who waged war on moral reasons, who did things for moral convictions. And that's where I base myself. Like, I will not shut down and cause my family harm. Like, if you showed me that my business was harming people, absolutely, I'd shut down. Sure.
How many people have you had die from walking into your store, Tim?
0.
Exactly. How many people have you had die from walking into your gym?
Actually, I'm pretty sure we saved a couple thousand lives.
Yep.
And that's my thing. If you showed me that legitimately there was a rate of transmission and this, that, or the other thing, this was like the Spanish flu, this was the bubonic plague, and it was spreading, fuck, I'm shut down.
Yep.
Absolutely. We'll do a delivery service only, nobody touch. I would adapt, but if I'm not going to shut down because of authoritarian control, my job is foremost is my faith, my wife, my kids, my businesses, in that fucking order. For me to take care of my wife and my faith, my church and my kids, I have to be working.
Listen, it is a constitutional right to be able to work, provide for your family, to be able to bring in income. For the government to come in and say, hey, you have to shut down your store. Like, that's your livelihood. That's your business. For them to come in and say, hey, you can't work. That's unconstitutional. I mean, that is fucking socialism. You can't work, and here's your stimulus check, which we don't even have a fucking stimulus check because they can't get their shit together.
And they won't.
But either way, even if they did, you can't work, and here's your money from the government. Here's your handout. That's fucking socialism. That is socialism. Like, fuck that. We have to stay open. And that's the whole point to this fucking podcast. If you don't stay open, and another thing too is people, if you like the way that this world is, that the United States is set up right now, if you like the way that things are, if you like small business, if you like middle class, if you like being able to do whatever the fuck you want, if you like freedom, you better buy from the fucking stores that are staying open. Like, if you don't buy from the stores that are staying open, newsflash, they can't stay open even if they don't want to. Right? So fuck Amazon, fuck all these big guys making $70 billion in fucking 6 months during this pandemic and hundreds of thousands of businesses going out of business. Fuck that.
Because people don't understand until it affects them. Oh, this won't affect me. It will.
And it will affect them.
It will. It's no different.
30% of mortgages are behind right now. This is what people don't understand. Like, that's a statistic. 30% of mortgages are behind. we're going to see this shit the years to come because there's going to be lots of fucking bankruptcies over this shit.
And it hasn't even hit the construction industry and these other market indicators yet because people don't understand that. You got to realize half these companies' stock markets and the Dow is up where it is because of speculation.
Yep.
And they're allowed to fundraise without actually producing profits. That's what the entire stock market's basically the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. There are companies like Moderna who are creating this vaccine. Do you realize Moderna's never actually had a successful drug and never actually made a profit yet?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were given $1 billion by the Fed to create this vaccine. Right?
Yeah, I did. And their fucking stocks are still tanking.
Yeah, they're tanking.
And Pfizer.
Yeah. So, and that's, I bought Moderna's kicking my
Pfizer sold, the CEO sold 60% of his shares.
Yeah, Pfizer, everybody said once they got the, I'm into stocks, and everybody was saying, you can see right there, red as fuck. Everyone was saying as soon as Pfizer's drugs approved, coronavirus stocks approved, it's going to skyrocket. It's at 38.21 in the red, down 1.29% today. It's been in the red for weeks.
And that's the thing. So I've always said like this, somebody's like says no different than, you're driving on the interstate, gas is getting a little low. You pass a gas station, you should have stopped at to fill up. But you saw a sign that there's another one in 10 miles and you should be able to make it, right? And you drive up to it and you realize that one's closed. You can't turn around. It's too fucking short. Oh, God, I hope I make it to the next one or I'm going to be on the fucking side of the road. That's where we are. People saying support local. And I see 15 Amazon packages show up to their house.
Yep.
You're a hypocrite. And that's the problem. And that's a lot of this population. Well, it's convenient. Oh, my God.
Did you delete your Amazon, Tim?
What's that?
Did you delete your Amazon?
No, I got no problem with fucking Amazon. I have business. I have things we sell on Amazon. I have shit we sell. Like, there's nothing wrong with Amazon. I'm just saying, look local first. Give it a shot. They'll deliver for free. You actually get it faster than Amazon can ever get it to you. Right now, my business partner will drive that shit to your fucking house and drop it off on your front door. He does it all the fucking time. We will get it there faster than Amazon, and I'm cheaper than they are.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, every small business knows one thing. We know what our number one competitor is, and we know what they're priced at. I'd be an absolute asshole to charge you more than Amazon and expect you to keep shopping in my fucking business. So what am I? I'm usually 10% fucking cheaper. And all these people out there, well, Amazon helps small businesses. Wake the fuck up. The hell they do. They take a bigger piece of my pie than any other platform I've even DoorDash. I deal with all these companies. Amazon takes an enormous amount of profit. And it's ridiculous. I make the least amount of Amazon than anything. I'm better off just shipping it on my own and paying for it. I do it because it legitimizes the certain business, certain functional foods like our OPP protein popcorn. Like, yeah, that's legitimizes the brand model themselves. So what do I do in my small time stores? Pick it up. I'll let Amazon run out. Do it all the fucking time. I'm going to play that game back on them. So there's nothing wrong with having an Amazon. I'm just saying give local a shot first. There's some shit you can't find here. And if local's 35% more, well, yeah, I don't expect you to do that shit. That's their dumb fault for not adapting to what the marketplace is at. It'd be no different than me selling something for $60. Amazon sells it for 50 and GNC down the road sells it for 50. I'm an asshole if I think everyone's going to spend 60 at my shop and they get a GNC at 50. Now I'm going to demonize Amazon. No, I'm pretty even kilter with that shit. I'm just saying, give it a shot first. Now, right now, what they're doing with all these stupid regulations and shutdowns and limitations is they're limiting how people can walk into stores because of occupation capacity. Or occupancy restrictions. So the problem is now you make Christmas shopping even worse, and it's fucking cold.
Yep.
In the Midwest, folks, Nebraska's fucking cold.
It's cold as fuck.
So the thing is, my wife goes, "Oh man, like she's got the baby with her. She can't sit outside for 20 minutes waiting to get into Best Buy."
Yep.
You just forced her ass to go to Amazon. Maybe that's by design. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
It's definitely by design.
I'm saying,
this
like,
whole fucking thing's by design.
Drop me a DM. I'll get it to you. Like I should, and that's not
this
that hard.
This is what I want to leave with. On this podcast, and this is just a thought, but people, there say there's forces at play right here, right now, right? That's this whole redistribution of wealth is not just a coincidence, right? This stuff's all happening for a purpose. This COVID-19 that has a very, very thin death rate, and we're shutting down the fucking world and getting rid of the middle class and transferring all the wealth of power to the elite is not just a coincidence. Let's just say it's not a coincidence. If it's not a coincidence, do people want these people that are doing this, anybody that's going to overtake any community or person or anything, do they want you divided or do they want you together?
Divided.
They want you divided. It's easier to conquer when whoever you're trying to conquer is divided. It's easier to take over and be divisive when people are divided. Now, what happens when people are out at the store for dinner or the restaurant for dinner? What happens when people are out at the bar getting drinks? What happens when people are at the gym? They talk. Oh, fuck. They're not being sheeps. They can spread ideas. They can talk about things. They can think for themselves and say, hey, Joel, what do you think about this? I thought that this was kind of fucking weird. I thought this was kind of weird that hundreds of thousands of small businesses are going out of business, but yet Amazon and all these other elites are making billions of dollars more than they ever had. That's kind of fucking weird. This whole thing is all to keep people sheep, right? Yep. And if you segregate people and keep them and shut everything down, keep everybody away from everybody, and keep everybody in their houses and nobody can talk and nobody can free think and think for themselves, which this is what they fucking want, then you're left to media. That's it. So the media shapes your mind. You're a sheep in your house. Media shapes your mind. You're along with the narrative. And that's what's happening to a lot of fucking people. And that's what I'm saying with this is fuck that. I'm not going to be controlled by anybody. I'm going to think for myself no matter what. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Whatever I feel is best for me and my family, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to listen to a fucking government. I'm not going to worry about a coronavirus. Coronavirus has a 0.03% death rate for anybody under 75 fucking years old. I'm not saying that it can't kill people. But if you're somebody that can kill, quarantine yourself if you would like to. If you are worried about it, quarantine yourself. I'm not going to quarantine myself, and the 99.97% of the fucking population shouldn't have to quarantine themselves.
Well, and it's the other thing you got to remember is that we have a issue in this country with mental illness.
God, I'm pissed.
Depression.
This is bullshit. I can't believe this is happening, and people are letting it happen.
And the thing is, we're locking people down and it's significantly worse. And people have been saying this for years. We have a mental illness issue in this country. And whether that's propagated and procrastinated by social media, we know it is. Whatever. Now you're making us stay home and isolate. It's not good for the mental health. Now it's cold. So you have less vitamin D, which also deals with your deficiency.
Suicide rates are skyrocketing.
Through the fucking roof.
Skyrocketing.
I mean, you got to think veteran suicide rate is the highest it's ever been because now they really need that connection. It's like, when's enough? Well, I mean, in a simple fact
when
is...
they fucking break us, that's when enough's enough.
You're never going to break.
Win,
you're literally making now people who are of the other mind to dig in their heels harder than ever. They're not... If for you that think out there that, okay, I'm just going to give up, trust me, there's half of the country right now that says, oh, fuck no.
I got a quote I want to leave off on.
There you go.
We're not going to give up. And that's, I guess, the final thing that I'll say is that united we stand, man. It's not fucking red and blue. It's not left or right. It doesn't fucking matter. We are all, whether you see it or not, fighting for our freedoms and what makes America great right now. Like this shit, if everybody just fucking lets the things that are happening right now continue to happen, there won't be America left as we know it.
Quote is, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. So we've had it pretty easy for a while. Pretty easy to get lax, become a weak man. Times are getting tough. We got to toughen up and stand up when it's right.
This time that we're going through right now is going to be in history books down the road.
They will.
100%.
And it'll be the time that...
And I hope it ends up well.
If they put it in there, which is a whole other...
Listen, when you get so many generations missed and removed from the struggle, you start to think that you know better than the original founders who had the issue with you. Your grandparents struggled to get. Your grandparents were happy to have a job. They were happy to have this or that. They had the access like you and I do to this shit. They'd all be fucking multi-trillionaires because they understood what grinding meant.
Yep.
And now my kids are like, you're so used to having all these things. I'm like, we all remember that first fucking cell phone. Weighed 25 pounds, about 4 minutes of battery life.
Brick.
My kids are like, God, I only have 200 gigs of data. Shut the fuck up. You know, like you don't understand. Like I had one game on there, Snake, Nokia with a big battery.
We had this with a string in between.
Exactly. You know,
hey man, and I'll say Snake is better than any game out there today.
Goddamn right.
Any game out there.
But my thing is, they get remissed, and this is what you're finding out is now that because it was one generation ago in Venezuela that they were like, yeah, we need to we're so rich. We should really take care of all the desolate. We should really do these things. And now they are all desolate
within a generation.
And so what will happen in the next generation is they will take their country back and because they have rich land, they have rich oil reserves. They have a lot of money in that country that can turn that thing around with a new government. And boom. And then you'll have 3 or 4 generations where they're happy and they prosper and they build up and up and up. And then you're going to have that 4th or 5th generation of kids that are like, we know better. We need to share this better. And it's going to be a fucking cycle. Look at every single empire the world has ever created. The same shit happens again and again. It's just poor management and honestly just poor, just bad government. It's really what it is. It comes down to everywhere from the Roman Empire to the Mongolian to you name it. It comes down to corrupt government. And that's exactly what we're dealing with now. The beautiful thing for us is fuck social media companies, fuck all that stuff. Information is easier to pass now than ever before. So the more corrupt our media gets, the only thing that has a lower approval rating than Congress is our fucking media. I'm not worried. You're actually going to give the rise to people like me that maybe never could have ran for politics. We might have a shot, tattooed and all, because I don't give a fuck.
I'd vote for you.
Let's
I'd
do
vote for
it.
you for sure. 100%.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, Tim, where can people find you?
TimRexius.com. We'll give you links to all the YouTube channels, the social media accounts, the Now or Never podcast, RexiusNutrition.com, VHIFit.com, IronHeavenOmaha.com. Just pick a random fucking company.com. I'm there someplace. No, I do not have an OnlyFans page for the people who keep guys.
Yes.
Not yet. No, I'm kidding,
Coming
Brittany.
soon.
I'm kidding, Brittany. Yeah. So, but yeah, just reach out and look it up, and love to have subscribe, do all that stuff. And you guys, I'm doing phenomenal things, man. I love this.
Dude, I thank you again for coming on. This has been, I don't think people know how many times I've asked Tim to do this and he said no. So this has been a long time in the making, and I love it, man. We got into a lot of good stuff, touched on a lot of good things, but in the right way. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're not playing one side or the other. We're America as we stand. We're America all together. And that's what it comes down to. So thank you, Tim.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this has been the Dads Who Live podcast, guys. Please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We do this shit for free. Actually, it costs us a lot of fucking money to do this shit. So please tell one friend. That's the only way that we move this forward. We want to grow organically. Just tell one friend. That's all that we ask. We are on all the formats for the podcast: SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, all that shit. We are on IG as Dads Who Lift Official. We are on Facebook as Dads Who Lift Podcast. We also have a Facebook group called Dads Who Lift. It's a group of 35,000, almost 36,000 dads that are like-minded dads, just trying to be trying to be their best selves and stay fit. So if that's something that you are interested in, a nice support group, check that out. Again, it's Dads Who Lift Official on Facebook. It's a group. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Just think for yourselves. So that's the last thing I'm going to say. You can have your own opinion. That's cool. If it's not what my opinion is, that's fine. But just don't follow the fucking narrative. Don't be a sheep. At least do your own research and think for yourselves. That's really all we can ask. Take care, guys.
It's forever, you know, this life is forever, no surrender, it's forever, you know, this life is forever. I ain't bigger dead than alive, I ain't bigger dead than alive, yeah. I ain't bigger dead than alive, la la la.